Hi, this is Eleanor Curry with the Curry Law Firm and coronaviruslegal.us, and I'm here sharing information and updates on COVID-19 and how we can anticipate it will impact our economy, legislation, small business, and of course our health. And we are still here on our final day addressing the PPP loan forgiveness application and the final step, which is documentation. Now, these record-keeping requirements are the last hurdle between your loan and the grant that comes with forgiveness. So now is the time where you do not want to stumble and you want to make sure you don't miss your goal. So let's not forget that if there is an amount that is not approved for forgiveness, 6 months after your disbursement, payments will begin and there will be a 2-year period for repayment. So, for instance, if you have a loan for $50,000, you will be hit with loan payments of more than $2,000 a month if your loan is not forgiven. That can be super impactful for businesses that are in financial distress due to COVID. So the documentation you will need to provide with your application will focus on the pertinent sections of the application, with the first and foremost concern being that of the payroll documents. So for this requirement, you can provide bank account statements showing the payroll paid, or if you use a third-party service, you can use their reports to document any payments and cash compensation paid to employees. Another alternative for documentation is to use your tax forms. So depending on your 8-week period, you may use overlapping federal 941 quarterly filings or state filings that include wage reports, for instance, an unemployment report. Your final choice for this section is payment receipts or canceled checks that would be especially pertinent for things like payments made for health insurance or retirement plan payments. So as a reminder to those who are self-employed, you still want to have documentation of payment of your payroll, even if it's just to yourself. So if it's just there sitting in an account, sitting in your business bank account, it does not show payment to you. Keep that in mind. The next documentation requirement is for the full-time employees, or FTEs. And again, here you can use your payroll tax filings, such as your 941 or unemployment wage reports. And lastly, your documentation will need to include non-payroll expenses you utilize the funds for. So please note that there may be some extra requirements in this section that go above and beyond just a canceled check. So for instance, if you are claiming a business mortgage interest payment, you need to also include the amortization schedule along with the canceled check or account statements that show February 2020 as a comparison period to the 8-week period you are claiming on your application. If you are documenting you are paying rent, alternatively, your documentation would include a copy of your current lease, and of course that counts for February 2020. And finally, if you are documenting any utility payments, you're going to include a copy of invoices that are in a pre-corona period. We're going back to February 2020, and making sure your documentation is in line is one of the most important steps. Do not forget it, because it's one of the easiest to trip up on. And once you provide that documentation, there's no taking it back. It's very, very difficult to correct. So make sure you're on point and being thoughtful when you're providing your documentation. Always make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Coronavirus Legal for additional information on how the virus will impact you. Thanks.